Hey, welcome to Bollox Talks and Tangents. You caught me pouring a drink here. Lenny's still writing like crazy over there. I don't know what all he's got going, and no one can read his writing.
Don't forget to adjust your mic.
Oh, my mic? Oh, Lenny, your mic's over here.
Yeah,
Yeah, there you go.
Hi, honeys, I'm home.
He's still doing his research. This is how this show works. We end up getting in here, and then we switch up again once we get in here. But welcome, Lenny. Good to have you back in the studio.
Pleasure to be here. Wow, this stuff gets fascinating.
Sorry, I missed last week. And you can tell by the way we if you can see our writing on our table, it's all over the place. I got papers all around me. I went down some crazy tangents this week, Lenny. I don't know about you.
We're
still doing it.
Yeah, I told you. I went in a completely different direction than I expected.
Yeah. No, and I'll tell you this. Like last night, we talked at trivia, and I said, "Oh man, I'm really looking forward to the military stuff." And then I got into the scandals, and the scandals were way more fun. And then I went back to the military stuff, and I was like, I don't know which one's going to be better today. So we're going to see how this thing plays out today.
Right, we got a lot of content. I got all sorts of colors on the table here.
Yeah. So first thing we got to do, we got to talk about our amazing sponsors. We got Blake in studio, so we got the gang back together.
Yep.
Last show, I think we had Pete in studio, and 2 shows ago, it was just me and Blake.
Yeah.
So the 3 of us haven't been together in almost a month.
I know. Blake is becoming quite the superstar, around town.
Yeah. Well, they had signs at trivia for him last night.
Yes, indeed. He was wonderful. He did a fabulous job. But to the sponsors.
Yeah, to the sponsors. All right, we got to start with City Gates Distillery. Appreciate these guys so much. St. Augustine Distillery, they do the best tours in the nation when it comes to a distillery, which is, that's saying a lot.
I think they won awards for that.
Yeah, they were ranked #1 tour for a distillery, which, that they're beating some guys that have been doing it for 100 years.
Yeah.
So that's impressive. Chesire Collision and Customs. I don't know. Did I say it right, Blake? Customs and Collision?
Yes, Customs and Collision.
That's what I said.
All
Customs and Collisions.
Sorry,
Chris. I always say it backwards.
I know.
Dyslexia.
They just absolutely do so much in the community. They have Cheshire Towing, and they have Vibe Energy. And they also have 900 Degree Pizza, which we had tonight, which was super yummy, wasn't it, Blake?
It was super yummy, yeah.
Super yummy. All right, Abare, Kresge and Associates. These guys, I don't know what I would do without these guys. They save me so much money. A lot of people go into tax season going, I'll do it myself. You do that. That means you're going to cost yourself money. Give these guys a call. They're #1 in the business. All right, Meehan's Irish Pub. They are on Sponsor Row right there. Telling you, they have 3 bars in one. They got Johnny's Oyster Bar, the pub inside, and then the backyard. Live music, both in the pub and the best view from Johnny's. So you can't ask for a better bar.
Food's great. Drinks are great. Yeah. Music's great.
People are great. Yeah, people are great. St. Augustine Pirate Museum. Cindy and the crew over there, they have 800 artifacts in this pirate museum. It's a great place if you have company coming in town. You got to take them. This is one of the go-to spots that I tell people. You got to go to the Pirate Museum and check it out because it's a unique thing you can't find anyplace else.
I think, if I'm correct, I think there's 2 authentic Jolly Roger flags floating around, and they have one of them here. And when you think of pirates, everybody thinks of the skull and crossbones on the black field.
Yeah.
And to realize that there's only 2 that have been, legitimately proven to belong to a pirate of some nature, and you got one of them here.
Well, and they talk you through the entire flags because every pirate had their own insignia flag, and then they talk you through that, and then they show you that one. So it really is interesting the differences of the flags of the pirates that have survived, and a pirate's career didn't last that long.
No,
so it wasn't like a long occupation. It's like being a running back in the NFL.
Well, these guys have better pensions today, at least.
All right, I'll tell you what. This restaurant right here is getting so much good press and well deserved because they do it right, and that's River and Fort.
Pretty place,
and just we talked about a great view at Meehan's. The ultimate view is at River and Fort on that top deck there. They have wonderful food. They have 3 levels. You can have 3 different experiences there, indoor and outdoor dining. It's a great place if you have a special occasion, a special date, or a birthday party. You want to take someone to check out River and Fort.
Yeah, and they have table service up there on that top deck as well.
Yeah, they have 2 different menus.
Yeah.
They have a different menu upstairs than what they do in the restaurant.
Right.
So
right.
All right. Palm Valley Golf Course. These guys, the best driving range in town, the most affordable golf. If you want to learn how to play golf, this is where you should go. They have the Tracer golf system where you have the television and it records your hit as you hit it out into very similar to Top Golf, but it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg, and you don't have to fight all the traffic going to Jacksonville.
Right.
So check these guys out. Again, thank you to all our sponsors. You guys do an amazing job. This week I chose Jefferson as the bourbon. It was a secondary bourbon, but the cork broke on my first one.
We had a wardrobe malfunction at the bottom.
Wardrobe right before. So if you guys were watching the pre-show and you saw me running around, that's what it was all about. But the Jefferson, the reason I chose Jefferson, and it's got a cool bottle. Have you tried it yet?
I've had it before, so I was waiting to give you a nice cheers for the 904.
Cheers. And it's got OTJ on the back there.
Yep.
Cheers.
To your health, sir.
The reason I decided to go with this one is Thomas Jefferson tried to stop the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. So
that I did not know.
Yeah, he was not a fan of it, even though it came into being while he was president. Right. So, but we're going to start off with word origins. All right, or word phrases. And I can't even cheat and see because I can't read what you wrote over there, Dr. Lenny.
Okay.
Is that chef writing? I mean,
oh yeah.
Is that what it is?
You should see me write a recipe.
Ooh.
It's like an undecipherable code.
Like in hieroglyphic. Have you ever seen Blake's handwriting?
I have not.
Whoo. Blake, how's your handwriting?
Prescription level, double.
Prescription level. Excellent.
Prescription level. It's like old school doctor handwriting.
All right.
So, all right. So, what's your first word origin? What you got?
All right. Well, I had a lot of fun with these, so I'm going to start with one that. Well, I'll start with this one, and it's give the cold shoulder.
Oh.
Okay. I don't know if you're familiar with this one.
I think Derek actually said this at one time.
Well, that would make sense because it would seem like it would be from there. And I was wondering, if you may have done or I may have repeated some of these.
Yeah. But it's okay.
And this one, it makes brilliant sense. By the way,
end of the dinner, right?
No, well, yeah, it's if somebody's overstayed their welcome, or you're trying to politely say scram, would you
time
please?
For you to go.
Right, you slice off a piece of roast from the shoulder, and it's cold, so it's a piece of cold mutton, lamb, or beef sliced off of the shoulder, and when you give them the cold shoulder, that means they know it's time for them to get out of there.
It's a polite way to say your time is done here.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you for playing our game. Here's your parting gift, by the way. Don't go away hungry.
I need to keep more cold shoulder around my house.
That's not a bad thing. Yeah. And it was funny, too, because I went to the library today to I renewed my library card because I hadn't used it in a while. And I do appreciate the service that the St. John's libraries do with Wall Street Journal and New York Times online that you can get. Because there's nothing worse than somebody sending you an article and you read the first paragraph and then you had to hit a paywall.
Yeah. So
the library takes care of that paywall. But be that as it may, I was explaining what we do here to the woman at the library, very lovely woman, I remembered the first one or the other one of my word origins and couldn't for the life of me remember this one. So I went home, found it, and called her up and told her what it was. So she now knows She knows about the cold shoulder as well.
Well, I can tell you this: like when I started this show, I was, and I still do it. I didn't make it there today, but every Thursday I was going down to the Historic Society and doing a lot of different stuff. And now I'm on the board of trustees.
At the Historical Society.
Yeah, because I was going so much.
That library is a great library. I've done a bunch of when I was doing my ghost tours. I was doing a lot of research up in there.
It's History Festival weekend.
Yep.
So it's a lot of fun downtown. They do some amazing stuff. The staff there is so brilliant. Yeah. So brilliant and so helpful. So so
what do you got?
Okay, I have two. I'm going to let you pick which one you want, one or two.
Do the top one.
All right, sink or swim. You have an idea where this comes from?
I would think getting thrown overboard something. We can be back in pirate land.
All right.
Well,
it's not quite there, but I mean, about the Salem witch trials.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
Okay.
Now I know exactly where you're going.
And if the water would accept them,
Right, yep.
you know, they sank, the water would accept them, then they were innocent.
Yeah.
All right? But it started before the Salem witch trials. This was a very common practice to prove whether or not someone was innocent or not. And if they floated or if they swam, then they were guilty.
Right.
So either way, you died.
Right. So you're proven innocent by dying.
Yes.
Right. Terrific.
Yeah,
Great system.
so that, I mean, and it comes from the 14th, 15th century. So it's well before Salem.
Right.
But the sink or swim, that's where that term came from, and it had to do whether or not the water would accept. If the water accepted them, they were innocent. I don't know if they saved them after they sank. I never really.
Well, how long did they? You know, see if they were you know, they could be like playing possum down there. Who knows? Maybe they really can swim.
Anyway, if I witnessed one, I would.
Yeah. That's exactly right. I'll go second.
I would. Yeah,
But they were
hang around and scoop me out.
They were trying to They were trying to vet witches, you know, over in Europe as well. You know, there was a whole big nobody liked witchcraft.
Yeah, but it started a couple centuries before Salem.
So,
but
right.
the first time I'd heard of it, if the witch sank, she was innocent.
Yeah.
Or if the woman sank, I guess she wouldn't have been a witch if she sank.
Right.
Yeah.
She was just poor innocent.
Either way, she's not making
Right.
it.
Exactly.
So that's where sink or swim came from. See, and I only knew it as a drinking on Thursday nights, you know, where you couldn't go to the bathroom. Everyone in the bar. You ever go to a bar like this?
No.
All right, so you go to the bar and you pay like $5.
Okay.
And you could drink until the first person went to the bathroom.
Oh.
And you didn't want to be that person.
That would be rude, yeah.
Yeah, there's people peeing in the corners and everything. So, but it was a sink or swim night, and yeah. So you never went. You didn't have that.
No, it sounds like no.
Yeah.
No. It sounds well.
You didn't help with sawdust floors.
That's right. Yeah, I know. But it seemed like you were swimming regardless.
Yeah.
If they were peeing in the corners, you were swimming regardless.
Yeah. Well, you're getting a little splashdown.
Okay.
All right. What's your second one?
My second one is fun too, and it's to turn a blind eye.
Okay.
And this one is really pretty neat. And
This is about the admiral.
You got it. You've
Yeah.
been there. All right. Yeah. Okay. But for those of you who don't know, Admiral Nelson, a British war hero, was blind in one eye. And they're in a naval battle. And he's on the bridge of his ship. And I guess they were fighting the Danish, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And, he's being told he's getting a signal from the command center.
Flashes.
Right.
And he didn't like what they flashed.
So he puts the telescope up to his blind eye.
Yeah.
And he looks over there, and of course he can't see anything through his blind eye. And he turns around and he goes to proceed to attack the Danish, and
He won.
wins the battles, absolutely.
Yeah.
And they said, what was going on? He said, I didn't see any signal.
Yeah.
Because he turned a blind eye.
Yeah.
So if you want to, ignore something or, just ignore situations of reality.
Yeah. You want to keep going to what you're doing, no matter what the information tells you.
Right.
Yeah, hell or high water.
Yep.
We might need
Yep.
that one next week.
I thought that was pretty interesting. I really did. It's he literally turned his blind eye.
Yep.
What a great loophole.
Yeah. So here's something I don't have.
Okay.
And Blake wishes I did. A nest egg.
I'm sure.
All right. So you know what a nest egg comes from?
Oh.
It also goes back to the 14th, 15th century.
Okay.
Any idea?
Nope. I'll learn.
So farmers would, when they collected their eggs from their chickens, they'd always leave one egg in the nest to encourage the chickens to lay more eggs.
Okay.
All right? And it evolved to, by doing that, they collected a lot more eggs. And by collecting the eggs, by saving that egg, it created more money. Or it created a bigger harvest.
Right.
So that's how a nest egg came to be a nest egg, is when you go to collect the eggs, you're supposed to leave one in there so the chicken goes, I need to lay more of those. There's only one. And Blake, you warned me not to do that, and I didn't turn off my sound thing. Blake said it, and I didn't.
Yeah, I was chided for it, so we're all good here.
But that's how the nest egg came to be.
And it's funny, when you said that, I thought they were actually being smart, and they were leaving one in there to hatch and become a chicken. Because if you take all the eggs, and eventually you run out of a chicken.
Well,
Unless that answers the question, which came first, the chicken or the egg?
I'm going to say, Lenny, you never grew up on a farm, did you?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, I haven't either, so.
So no, but I mean, you make the money selling the eggs. You have slaughtered chickens and you have laying chickens.
Yeah.
Different ones.
Yeah.
So the ones that are laying, you don't have to harvest those. You got the other ones that'll be there. You always have a plethora of chickens.
All right, but at some point in time, you need to have chicks at some point in time.
That cock-a-doodle-doo.
Right.
Yeah. They do their part.
Okay.
So you don't need that many roosters. So when the boys come out, they ain't making it.
All right.
So once you got a good rooster, you don't need it.
Yeah.
So.
And he don't want the competition.
Yeah, if he's good, he don't really have competition. He takes them out himself.
All right, so I like that idea. All right, good.
So that's what a nest egg is. Because it's considered now a savings now is creating a nest egg.
You think that would be something? Well, I'm thinking maybe similar to seed money, but not quite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, similar.
Okay, yeah, could be
A windfall.
Yeah.
So, all right. I'm going to let you choose which way you want to go.
No. You are too excited. You are so excited about this. I'm going to put the pressure on you because you don't know if you want to go down that Hollywood scandal roll or you want to go to there.
All
right, tell you what.
I'm so torn.
Give me Jackie Coogan.
Okay. All right. We're gonna go Hollywood scandals.
Fine.
All right. So I'm gonna give you the Uncle Fester. Everybody knows Uncle Fester from the Addams Family, right?
Ricky and Ricky. They're all together kooky.
Right. Yeah, and Jackie Coogan was Uncle Fester.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but most people don't know how he really became famous.
He was a child actor.
Yes, he was a childhood actor, and Charlie Chaplin took him under his wing.
Okay.
All right. Charlie Chaplin.
I'll go that way. Go ahead.
Loved Jackie and took great care of Jackie and paid Jackie very well. The problem is when Jackie turned 21 and he went to collect his money from everything that he had won or earned as a child actor, there was no money left, and his mom and stepfather wouldn't give him any of the money at all. They said it was their money because they raised him. Because of that, Hollywood came up with the Coogan Act.
Okay.
So the Coogan Act went into play. Jackie Coogan, Uncle Fester, had to sue his mom to get the money. He earned over $3 million as a child actor between 1917 and 1930. All right? They only had $250,000 left in the bank. He sued his mom, all the court cases and all that. He only walked away with $125,000 at the age of 21. Wow. And he had earned $3 million. Because of the Coogan Act, now any child actor you have to put away in a trust that can't be touched 15% of all their earnings so that they have money at the end.
Which is great. Because you have stage moms, obviously, like his.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all of us know, like the Macaulay Culkin, Gary Coleman, Nana Plato. I mean, there was so many child actors that have horrible stories with them.
The Olsen
Coogan Act. What was that?
The Olsen twins.
The Olsen twins. I think they turned out okay. I think their fashion and everything else that they did, they ended up being very
still working. Yeah.
Yeah. Brittany, as far as the music goes, but I don't know if the Coogan Act goes over to the music side. So, but because of this, that's how that came into play, is because of this suit of Uncle Fester and his relationship. And when he had a lot of debt, even though he had the $125,000, which seems like a lot of money in 1932, I think it was 36.
Right.
He actually called up Charlie Chaplin and said, "Hey, can you help me out?" And Charlie basically gave him cash to hold him over till he got back on his feet.
Got the settlement.
Yeah. So his relationship with Charlie Chaplin was very, very strong. So I didn't know that connection until I started doing my dive today.
Well, it's interesting because I had looked at Charlie Chaplin, and I wasn't gonna get into Charlie Chaplin because it's a little tawdry on a whole lot of levels. But there's a bunch of interesting stuff there. Well, it really is.
Which one of your Charlie Chaplin stories was the one that intrigued you the most?
Well, it's sort of a compilation because he, and it's funny, and what made me think of it is when you were
be a lawyer. I asked you a direct question, and you just went, "Oh, it's a compilation of were you a lawyer in your past life?"
Probably because I should have been one in this. I should have been one in this life.
Like, can you tell me when Lenny does this? Is he looks like a pitcher where somebody's trying to steal his signals?
Hey, man. Dave Stewart, why do I put my cap down?
Yeah,
there you go. That's it.
But no, which one?
Charlie Chaplin. Well, what reminded me is when you started talking about Charlie Chaplin taking Jackie Coogan as a child actor under his wing, and I'm not making any implication in that direction there, which will become obvious with my next sentence.
It definitely sounded like you were.
No.
Like
you've got to put allegedly. It's all alleged.
I had to ask that question. Was he the original Michael?
No, but Charlie Chaplin absolutely had a reputation for spending time with very young and underage girls, right up through the end of his life. I mean, it was all scandalous. There were, 16, 15-year-old. They started as actresses. He had children. Some of them had illegitimate children with him. But he eventually married Eugene O'Neill's daughter, Una. She was 18 when he was in his 60s, and had children. They were together for ages.
Yeah,
with him living in Switzerland because he sort of wasn't allowed in the United States.
Well, he got caught up in the whole communist.
He was a communist. Yeah, right. He was allegedly a communist sympathizer. And
So what you're saying is
the red scandal.
Yeah. So what you're saying is United Artists was actually a front for something more sinister.
Well, I have some of those. I have one that's so dark that I didn't realize that came out of that era. Also, that we will get to.
Now I'm really intrigued.
Yeah.
But that was it with Charlie Chaplin. But one very interesting side note: if you're ever going to the Hollywood Bowl and you're looking for a place to park as you're going up the hill, which I think may be Highland, but I'm not positive about that. On the same side as the Hollywood Bowl is an American Legion, the Hollywood American Legion there, and it's haunted. And Charlie Chaplin sits on his bar stool at the end of the bar in the American Legion Hall. Right down the block from the Hollywood Bowl, which will charge you $10 or $20 to park there, and it's a nice walk up there.
All right.
So for those of you going to concerts,
Buster Keaton, Charlie Chaplin, which one do you choose?
Charlie Chaplin.
May as well stay with the theme because Buster's just dangling off a clock hand.
Yeah.
Though he did his own stunts, man. That was an amazing thing in those days.
Yeah. He did his own stunts.
Yeah, that was fascinating.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a whole lot of on-set safety going on.
Yeah. You know who else did their own stunts? Who I absolutely think is amazing. Wile E. Coyote. Every single time.
He gets back up. Every time he gets knocked down, he gets back up.
I'm telling you, he's the toughest coyote I know.
Right off a cliff.
And he invented Amazon. Acme was the original Amazon.
That was
how quickly could he get that Acme stuff in there? Yep. Wile E. Coyote was an innovator.
That's probably where it came from.
He's so underappreciated in our society.
Oh, and boy, was he tenacious.
Oh yeah, just never gave up. All right, what's your Hollywood scandal? What's the one you want to go with now?
Well, we can do Fatty Arbuckle because
let's do Fatty Arbuckle.
And it's interesting.
You might have to explain who Fatty Arbuckle is to our audience too.
Oh well, there you go.
One member.
Yeah, Blake.
Sorry. Well, all right. Well, do you know?
No.
Okay. Fatty Arbuckle was at one point in time one of the highest grossing actors in Hollywood. He was not very tall, but he was very portly. He was 260 some odd pounds.
Fatty.
He was. There you go. Well, if the foo shits, exactly. He was a silent movie star. So that's how far back we're going. We're going into 1921. The guy was making, he had just finished a 3-year contract that paid him $3 million to make 18 silent films, and he had just signed a new $1 million contract for the year going forward. He was the be-all and end-all.
Yeah.
And he was
a big cheese.
He was portly on to being rotund. But a buddy of his was throwing him a party, and to congratulate him on this contract, and he really wasn't in the mood for it because he had gone down to Los Angeles, and I believe he had got a brand new Pierce Arrow automobile that was being repaired in Los Angeles, and as he was waiting for the car, he sat down on something in the service station, and there was an acid-covered rag which he sat on, which the acid burnt through his pants and his butt, and gave him burns on his ass, and he put him in a foul mood, but his friend insisted he came to the party that he was throwing in San San Francisco, by the way. So, and how long is it going to take you to get up there? Because they weren't flying, I don't believe.
Yeah.
And so he gets his pants repaired, and he goes up there and he's literally sitting on a donut in the car because of the burn on his butt. So he gets up there, and they're throwing this party, and the guy's, he's in his suite, and he wakes up, and the next thing he knows, the place is lousy with people. He went to sleep, he's exhausted from the trip, and this guy's throwing a party in his suite right around him, and he gets up, he's wandering around in his pajamas, and he gets his legs under him, and he starts enjoying the party a little bit, and this is where the story starts to diverge a little bit. But he sees this young actress, this 25-year-old woman, Virginia Rappy, and they start chatting, and we'll do one of these, 2 hours earlier type of thing. They end up in a room together. According to Fatty Arbuckle, he was never alone with her. And she may have said as much at one point in time. But there was a woman there also by the name of Maud Dumont, who was a notorious madam and blackmailer and, just shit stirrer, basically. And she was there as well. And the girl screams. She's in a tremendous amount of pain. People go rushing in there. There's a doctor, takes her to the next room, examines her. They keep her in the hotel for a couple of days. They move her to a hospital. Day after that, she dies from a ruptured bladder. And the immediate conjecture is that Fatty Arbuckle sexually assaulted this woman, and his girth caused the rupture to her bladder in unwanted or rough sex, and that's what caused the death.
And they killed his career.
Right into the gutter. Because this woman, Maud Dumont, said, we can make some money on this.
Yeah.
And she started promulgating the fact that, he raped her. Yet when the doctor was administering her right there, she said, no, he didn't touch me. It wasn't. Fatty Arbuckle said, he gets arrested, and there's a DA who starts to think, I could be governor on this one.
Yeah.
And they go to trial. And they realize the prosecution, they got a really shitty case because it's all conjecture.
And she already said it was consensual.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's based on this Maud Dumont woman's, pronouncements. And they don't bring her to testify because she is not what you would call a credible witness in any way, shape, or form.
A woman of ill repute.
Oh, baby.
Yeah.
And
so how does it end?
He gets acquitted. After he goes to trial 3 times. First time, it's a hung jury. Second time, it's 10-2. And the third time, it's unanimous, and the jury comes back in 5 minutes, and they acquit him. He goes away. His career's in the crapper.
Yeah.
He's got nothing. He's done.
Because there's already so many bad stories about it.
Yep.
There's no coming back from it.
Yeah, so he ended up,
He should have went to the party.
It was in his honor. He tried not to. Believe me, he wasn't in the mood for it. Yeah. So, he was able to muddle through, but he died, 10, 12 years later of a heart attack. So, that's poor Fatty.
Going in the opposite direction.
Oh, something uplifting. Yeah. Good. We like positive.
It's not uplifting.
No,
it's not uplifting. It's not uplifting at all. But this guy was in shape. This guy was in phenomenal shape. Superman.
George Reeves.
Christopher Reeves.
George Reeves, not Christopher Reeves.
Yeah, no. Superman.
And they're not related,
right?
Because there's an S on one and not on the other.
Right.
Okay. Christopher doesn't have an S.
My Superman growing up.
George has an S.
Black and white and in color.
Black and white. All right. Do you know his full story?
Yes.
Okay. Is this one of the scandals you looked up?
No, but I know the story.
All right.
Yeah. Actually, they made a movie about it.
Oh, they did?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So George is at a party. He's at a party, and at this party, his lover is also at the party. Okay? Her name is Tony Mannix. Tony's married to a very influential MGM executive. His name is Eddie Mannix. They're all at the party. Evidently, what happened, and this is still questionable of how this happened. Also, there was Lenore Lemon, and that was George's fiance. All right? For 9 years, George and Tony were having an affair. Okay? You still with me?
Yep.
At this party, some discussions went on. He tried to get Tony to kind of convince her that she really loves him and stuff like that. She turns him down because Eddie's a very wealthy man. He's a powerful man. She turns him down.
Yeah. Studio head,
and the story that went out is he went upstairs and shot himself at this party.
Correct.
All right?
Allegedly suicide.
Where it gets interesting is Tony Mannix confessed on her deathbed of arranging George Reeves' murder.
Really?
Yeah. And that was in 1999. So it was in 1959 he shot himself. In 1999, all right, I'm going to throw your phone away.
Nope, I'm doing this. I'm doing this for you. I apologize, but
I'm going to New York you here.
I hear every word you said, and I was doing it for you. Trust me.
But in 1999, 40 years after his death, this woman admits this.
Well, between now and then, there's a movie called Hollywoodland, and that is the exact story you told on film.
All right, and tell Blake why it's called Hollywoodland. Do you know?
Well, at one point in time, the Hollywood sign said Hollywoodland, and the land part fell down and went boom.
Yeah, so it was a land development.
Yeah,
it was a land development. It was called Hollywoodland, and that was the development. And when it fell in disarray, they built it back, but they left the land off.
Right. I apologize for that, but I had to find out because I was pretty sure it was Hollywoodland, but
right.
So,
but definitely like when they rename when like once in a while they rename the sign to Hollyweed.
Yeah,
Hollyweed.
Usually on 420 somebody climbs up there.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah, I went to my weed appointment today. Ooh, that's a real exciting event.
5 minutes, right?
Oh, 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Okay, you're good.
Right.
Pay us $150. So.
It's a money grab.
Yep. All right, what's your next one?
I guess we're brokering over into Military Academies.
No. I still got stories.
Well, then go, please.
I
did you, Fatty. I did you, Charlie. I keep going, but
I'll tell these three very quickly, and I'll end on the darkest one. I loved Laurel and Hardy growing up.
Yeah.
I loved Abbott and Costello and Laurel and Hardy.
Yeah.
Until today, I had no idea what an asshole Stan Laurel was.
Okay.
All right. He had 4 wives. He evidently abused all 4, and he was a horrible alcoholic. Ruined it for me. I wish I hadn't read it. All right? That one ruined it for me. Who else did we watch growing up, like almost every Saturday morning?
The Three Stooges.
Three Stooges, but there was also a group that led into the Three Stooges called Our Gang.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And Figaro, Alfalfa. What a horrible death he ended up having, too. And he ended up being broke and became an alcoholic. And just so like two of the guys I loved watching as a child, completely ruined today.
So sorry.
It's completely ruined today. But Alfalfa, that death, I'm gonna grab down here. All right, he did over 200 comedy shorts. All right, his marriage fell apart in 1959. He was gunned down trying to collect a debt. Somebody owed him $50. He went to the guy to collect the debt and was shot on the street.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Did not know that at all.
Yeah. So, all right. This is the darkest one of all. All right. This one in the 1930s and 1940s. All right. In old Hollywood, if a woman got pregnant, they were forced to have abortions. Women that were forced to have abortions. Are you ready for this list? Joan Crawford.
Yeah.
Jeanette MacDonald, Betty Davis, and Judy Garland. All 4 of them were forced to have abortions.
By the studios.
So, Jean Harlow was also forced. And she was not even allowed to get married to the father of the child because at her age, they wanted her to stay a blonde bombshell, and they thought if she had a child and if she was married, she would no longer be a bombshell. So those 5 are ones that we know about that Hollywood forced to have an abortion. So
I'm sure that's a much, much longer list.
Oh, you know it is.
Yeah.
It is if these are the ones that are actually reported.
Yeah.
So. All right. I told you it was dark.
Oh no, yeah, that's just evil.
Yeah, I told you it was dark.
Yeah.
So, all right. Quick run through of our sponsors again. Sorry, I got the hiccups right now. Quick run through of our sponsors. Palm Valley Golf Course, the best golf course to learn how to play golf, the best driving range in town. Check out their Tracer Golf. River and Fort, I'm telling you right now, they have an appetizer called the Grand Tower that will blow your socks off. It's a seafood. If you love seafood, it's the go-to appetizer, and it can be a meal. St. Augustine Pirate Museum, a must-see stop in St. Augustine. SEA. All right. Meehan's Irish Pub. You can't say enough about the staff over there, Reggie and his whole crew. They do it right. They have great bartenders. They have great food, great location, and just wonderful people.
When you get there, if you're looking for dessert, and even if you're not looking for dessert, try their house-made Irish cream whiskey.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, that is rich and thick and delicious. It's fabulous.
Yeah.
And they make it daily.
Blake, your favorite thing at Meehan's?
The mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese. He's the guy. All right, Abare, Kresge and Associates. Tax season might be done for some of you, but some of us that got businesses, we're still working on it.
I feel for you.
These are the guys that help you get through there. Abare, Kresge and Associates. They help out nonprofits. They do audits. They do everything in the accounting world that you need. All right, Chesire, Customs and Collisions. Did I get it right, Blake?
Yes.
All right, I finally got it right. All right, check these guys out. If you want a makeover and a facelift on your car, go see these guys. They'll do you right. City Gates Distillery and St. Augustine Distillery, best spirits in town, and you can't beat their tours.
Try tasting room,
their tasting. Try out their tasting. You're going to walk away with some very, very good liquor when you leave there.
Yep.
All right, Military Academies. All right,
go ahead, my excited friend.
All right, so I ended up just focusing mostly on West Point.
Okay.
All right, I got into some of the other ones, and everything kept drawing me back to West Point. So, West Point, like I said earlier, Jefferson didn't want West Point.
Right.
He didn't want it to happen. And it was, West Point was a fort during the Revolutionary War. It starts with scandal.
Right on the Hudson River. It's a gorgeous part of New York State. It's beautiful there.
It starts with scandal. Blake, I know you know this. Blake, do you have any idea why West Point starts with a scandal?
I'm not sure.
All right, you've heard of Benedict Arnold.
Yes.
All right, Benedict Arnold didn't think he was getting promoted enough in the colonial army, and he decided that he was going to sell the fort of West Point to the British. What was the British officer's name?
That was Major Andre.
Andre. All right, I'm pulling up here because you're going to get a little quiz. You're very good.
Okay.
Even though last night's trivia.
Yeah. Curse you, Ohio.
Yeah.
And your flag.
Ohio.
And your little flag, too.
The Ohio pennant. Gotcha.
Oh, my.
All right, so John Andre. Benedict Arnold and John Andre came up with this scheme. John Andre was on the British side. All right. What happened to Benedict Arnold?
He got hung.
No, he didn't. He escaped.
And then?
No, he escaped. He died in England.
See, but that's what I said last night, and you told me no.
No.
Because that's what I thought.
John Andre got hung.
Yeah, no, I thought, right.
Oh, well, you said Andre. When you said Andre, I said I meant he was hung.
Oh, no, I had meant Benedict Arnold ended up in England. Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah.
England for 2 decades. He lived and ended up being a wealthy man in England.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately for Andre, he wasn't so lucky.
Well, they also treated him as a spy as well. Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's how it all started.
Yeah. That was right in the American Revolution, yeah.
West Point starts during the American Revolution.
Did you know, excuse me 1 second, did you know that in those days, to close off the Hudson so that ships could not come, they had huge chains, similar to what they used in the harbor down here at St. Augustine at one point in time. They would hang chains across the river to prevent wooden ships from passing up.
Yeah. They would lower them to let people by. Yeah. They'd pull them taut. And actually, I knew about it here. They replicated it in the TV show Vikings.
Okay.
And it was, the way they did it on set of it, it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's a heavy weight to string across the Hudson River.
Well, they used,
or the bay here when they were doing it in St. Augustine.
They used what's not the Clydesdales, the Bergerons.
Okay.
and that's how they pulled it with
teams of horses.
with
Okay.
They got the teams of horses always attached to it, and they rotate the horses out.
Okay.
So
nice.
All right. So the grounds. So the founding military school was proposed by a General Henry Cox. All right, in 1776.
Okay.
So at the very beginning of the Revolutionary War, they're like, "Hey, we need to train our generals properly."
Right. We need trained military leaders.
All right. Alexander Hamilton urged the adoption of the plan. So if you've seen the play, Hamilton was a big Washington guy.
He was in the room.
The only person who really opposed it was
TJ.
Thomas Jefferson. All right. So, however, even with TJ trying to get it not done, in 1802, Congress passed an act that established the Military Academy at West Point. So it started in 1802. And so one of the things that I found, the hazing that went on.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know when hazing actually stopped? Well, when it was officially
called, it was outlawed?
When it was officially called into court, and who was the person that was attached to the hazing accusations?
I don't think it was as long ago as I would like to believe, in all honesty, when they finally outlawed it, because there were hazes still going on.
Oh, there's still hazes that go on now.
Yeah,
and they still have a handbook and a code book that you have to memorize.
And not a code,
You know how many peanuts in the bag.
Right, okay,
all right.
Go ahead.
So the hazing ended. A young cadet was supposed to be squatting over broken glass. All right? There's broken glass, and he was squatting, and they had him squatting for hours. He passed out and fell into the glass. General MacArthur.
Douglas.
I'm sorry, Douglas MacArthur. George.
I
got George McGovern.
Oh, I'm hoping you're getting George Patton, but George
Patton's also.
I know. There you go.
I did just read George Patton.
Right.
So
That's why I said okay.
But
yeah.
It was
Douglas MacArthur.
Douglas MacArthur.
Ooh, that's why he always looked so pickled up.
And Douglas later became the commander at West Point. But at that trial is when they decided we're no longer going to do it. So it was in the late 1800s when they stopped the really harsh hazing, and they denounced it as a school. They did it before as what's the A Few Good Men?
Yeah.
They talk about a code red.
Yeah.
That was what the hazing was like at the Military Academy.
Oh, absolutely. For quite some time, and carry that through to boot camp.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Quickly go through the alumni.
Okay.
All right.
More Civil War generals than you can shake a stick at.
Pretty much just packed with it.
Yeah, and the majority of them on the Confederate side.
Yes.
They all split and went south.
Class of 1929, Robert E. Lee. Class of 1940, William T. Sherman. So one of each side. James Longstreet, 42. Ulysses S. Grant, 43. All right. The class of 1946 had Stonewall Jackson, George Gordon, George McClellan, and George Pickett. 4 generals from the Civil War. And they were all gifted generals.
Oh, yeah.
Philip Sheridan from 1853. Jeb Stuart from 1854. Was still in Civil War. Graduating last in his class, 1861. George Armstrong Custer. Dead last in his class.
Now, I'm a little taken aback here that you're forgetting somebody we spoke of so recently.
Oh, Edgar Allan Poe.
Not the naked man wandering campus.
But he didn't graduate.
Ambrose Burnside was also a Civil War general who went to West Point.
Yes, Burnside. Yeah, he didn't make my list. All right.
You notice the majority of them. You had A.P. Hill. There was, and again, as I said, when I looked at it, a majority of them ended up on the Confederate side.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of them did. Douglas MacArthur, 1903. We already talked about Patton, 1909. A lot of these guys, World War II. Dwight Eisenhower, Omar Bradley, I mean, all of these guys changed the world. Petraeus, Sporskov. I mean, the list is just incredible.
The current Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin.
Yep.
And we forgot the President of the Confederacy. Jefferson Davis went to West Point.
Jefferson Davis.
Yep.
So, and one that Blake will know, Coach K.
Yeah.
Coach K.
Yep.
So
that, you know what? Of the entire list, that was the one that surprised me the most.
Yeah.
That I would have never presumed that.
Didn't he play for Bobby Knight at West Point?
Coach K?
Did Knight coach basketball at West Point? That I did not know.
I think
I didn't. I'm not sure. I have to look at.
Can you Google that?
I
but real quick though, you have a good Coach K story though.
Oh yeah. So Blake and I like to go to Vegas. When Coach K was coaching the USA team, they did their training in Vegas.
Right.
Where I sit down to play my video poker at the Wynn, Coach K is sitting right there with me. We're as far as me and you, and we're just rooting each other on. And he crushed it. I didn't crush it like he did because he was betting way more than me.
Right.
But he had to have them come over like 3 times to cash him out because the number was so high.
Nice.
Yeah. So coach, and he was a super nice guy. He was a really good guy, and he was kind of under the radar. No one really knew who he was.
Yeah.
I just happened to be right there, and he probably sat there for 30 minutes before I recognized who he was. So
that's cool. Very cool.
If you're wondering, yes, Bobby Knight, Coach K at West Point.
Well, yeah,
wow. Okay.
I thought
that's like a double bonus. I didn't know Kay went there, and I sure as heck didn't know that
I think
Bobby Knight coached there before Indiana.
Did Bobby Knight throw a chair at West Point?
Only if the guy needed a seat.
I don't know.
That lady really needed a seat when he threw that chair at Indiana. So, all right. So that's what I got about.
Now, I understand. You seem to know, and you're correct that there were more astronauts coming out of the Naval Academy. But six astronauts came out of West Point.
Yeah, Buzz Aldrin,
and I found that interesting.
Ed White, Collins.
Yep.
Frank Borman.
Yep. And Nelson.
Scott.
Yep. And Andrew Morgan.
Okay, I don't have him.
He is the most recent. His picture was like in color, and
right.
like
I was going right stuff, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
Yeah, I was doing right stuff.
Can't cut him out. The guy's a freaking astronaut, man. Give him his due. Howard Wolowitz, here's to you.
Yeah.
Exactly. Gotta love him.
All right. Have you visited? Well, you're from New York.
It's so funny because I was
campus.
and ages ago. But I was just going to say, if you have the opportunity, and I don't know in today's age. How available it is, but there's tours of West Point. You go up there for an Army football game. Go up there to watch the cadets parade. It's fascinating. It's magnificent. It really is. Yeah. It's a beautiful part of this. You go up there in the fall when the leaves are changing. It's magnificent. It truly is.
And the only military academy I've actually visited is in Colorado Springs, just outside of Colorado Springs, is the Naval. Or not the Naval.
The Air Force Academy.
Air Force Academy.
Yeah,
U.S. Air Force Academy. And I can tell you this: these guys. You can't really appreciate, like as a student athlete when you're playing sports, it's tough to keep a full schedule and play sports. All right, these guys not only Blake, how many hours did you have at Flagler your last year?
Like so how many hours I worked?
Last semester. No, your last semester. How many hours?
How many credits were you taking?
15
credit hours. 15's the standard.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
15's
well, that was the minimum because otherwise, if it was lower, I wouldn't get the scholarships.
Your scholarships would have went away.
Okay.
And I had to do 12 to keep my athletic. I always did 15, 16 if I could. These guys are doing 23 hours. They have to do all their other training and their drills and still play sports. There is nobody I have more respect for than a 20-year-old student athlete at one of these military academies.
Who then has an obligation to the service before they can turn pro.
Yeah, David Robinson's a prime example.
Napoleon McCallum, absolutely. Yeah. Both of them from Annapolis.
Staubach? Yeah.
Also Annapolis.
Yeah. So, these guys...
Did Staubach go to Vietnam?
I don't think he ended up going to Vietnam, but I think he served.
Yeah.
So I don't think he saw active.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
All right. Yeah. Absolutely. A, thank you for your service, and B, thanks for being amazing at what you're doing.
Well, and the beauty about,
and that's all the people coming out of that service academy.
And David Robinson did something in his career that I didn't like when they purposely gave him the scoring title and he scored like 87 points just so he could beat Shaq. So that ticked me off as a Magic fan. But
I'm sorry, we got to root for the Knicks.
Yeah,
over here.
Yeah, the Knicks on this side, Knicks on that side. But David Robinson had the option, and he said no. The Naval Academy's been good to me. They gave him an option, an out, to go play basketball, and he still did 2 years.
Yes. Absolutely, and you need to admire that. Or I certainly do. Absolutely,
you got to respect that because he
free education.
He gave up millions of dollars up front, and that's a 22-year-old man making that decision of no, this is what I'm going to do because it's the right thing, and he did the right thing.
Yeah, that's integrity.
Yeah.
It really is. It's more than admirable. It's inspiring. It truly is.
That's why he's always been called the Admiral, even though he never was.
Yep.
When you say the Admiral, who do you think of?
Oh, absolutely.
David Robinson.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
All right. So, which academy do you have? Some of the other academies you want to talk about?
Well, first of all, just a side note. The Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs is in one of the most beautiful parts of the country. It's in the mountains. You've got pines, you've got trees. The air is some of the cleanest, freshest air I've ever breathed in my life.
Yeah, you can see Pikes Peak pretty much anywhere in the entire campus.
And the cathedral there is a beautiful, and if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure it's an A-frame building, the cathedral there. And it's interesting because, they carry the theme through because the cross above the altar is made out of plane propellers. So it's but it's beautiful there. But I spent a lot of time in the Naval Academy, someplace I have yet to get to, but would really like to get to, Annapolis. Tremendous amount of history there, fascinating things that are going on there. Annapolis is apparently a wonderful, wonderful town.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten there yet.
Like you got something to say?
Yeah. So sorry for laughing. I just got a little message from a friend that apparently our front plant has just been stolen. Has been stolen like last night.
What got stolen?
Our plant.
From our house?
Yes.
Our plant got stolen?
Yes.
One of your friends stole our plant?
No.
Nothing sacred.
It was Becca. Becca told me.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's nothing sacred.
Who stole our plant?
I don't know. So I looked at the ring. It was like $550. It was there $650. It's gone.
Oh man, that's messed up. We got a world search going on.
I think so. Call out the dog. You know the sheriff.
I know people.
Get the bloodhounds.
I know people. The chief's coming over for an investigation.
Okay, just I want to backtrack for a side note because I found this very interesting. First of all, by an act of Congress, first of all, you need a congressional appointment to go to the service academies.
Yes.
You need to be promoted by your congressman to even be considered for the application. You need that. But you come out, you be made an officer and a gentleman by an act of Congress, or an officer and a gentle person, woman.
Yeah.
I ain't digging out of that one well. But in 1933, Franklin Roosevelt signed into law a law that was passed by Congress that said if you were a graduate of the Military Academy, West Point, Annapolis, or the Coast Guard Academy, you got a Bachelor's of Science degree. They conferred a BS upon you. About 4 years later, in 1937, another act of Congress signed again by Roosevelt. Any living graduate of the service academies was also bestowed a BS. So I thought that was very interesting that they tried to work on the academic credentials as well as the military credentials to make it more, I guess, equal with other academic institutions, and it wasn't strictly military academies.
Yeah, and FDR's connection to the Navy.
He was Secretary of the Navy, was he not?
Secretary of the Navy.
Yeah.
He was Assistant Secretary of the Navy at the time of the Lusitania. And
okay, I'm not laughing at that or the Lusitania. I'll come back in 1 second. Go ahead.
But the rumor is, or the scandal is, that him and Churchill, before both of them were in power, they had made a deal to send over military support through the Lusitania. And when the submarine torpedo hit the front of the Lusitania, that's what created the large explosion. It was supposed to just leave one little hole in that section, which is the way that Lusitania was designed.
Right.
But it blew up.
Were there a whole lot of denials that there was nothing military on the Lusitania? Did they admit to it?
No, they never admitted.
Yeah, right. Okay.
They never admitted to it. FDR never admitted to it. Churchill never admitted to it, even later on. But that is always, and still to this day, never been proven if there was an arsenal in the bow of the Lusitania.
Okay, now I got to get my dates in order, because when was the Lusitania? That was in the...
It was in like 15.
Yeah.
It was after the Titanic. Blake, can you
okay.
look that up?
No, that's not necessary, because I sorted it through in my own brain, because it wasn't contemporaneous. William Randolph Hearst said that, and this I'm going back, that the headlines he put out for the Fatty Arbuckle trial sold more papers than the sinking of the Lusitania.
Yeah.
So, but so they weren't simultaneous. Lusitania stunk in 15 or when, and it obviously was the topic of conversation, and we're at war. Yeah. Not that he was a yellow journalist or a jingoist, but that's a topic for another day, possibly.
Right. Now, what name did you just say?
William Randolph Hearst.
All right. You know what Rosebud is?
I do well.
Blake, you know what Rosebud is?
Yep. We watched Citizen Kane.
You need a spoiler alert on this, though. I'm just saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what Rosebud? We'll talk later. Do you know what Rosebud really was?
Yeah, that's
okay.
That's what
all
we're
right.
Fine.
Thank you.
Now.
All right. I'm drinking. Go ahead.
But for legal reasons, since I applied to Hearst jobs, I'm not going to comment anymore.
Oh, yeah.
You know what?
Right.
I would beg to differ that anybody working for the Hearst Corporation today gives a hoot about William Randolph Hearst or Marion Davis's.
They do own like 20% of ESPN, so I won't work for them. So
okay, all
right, we're still going to say it.
Yeah, go ahead.
You can blame your dad. You get that job.
Throw it on me, kid. I got you covered.
All right. So Rosebud, the great movie,
Citizen Kane.
Citizen Kane. It makes it sound like Rosebud is a sled.
Right.
It's not at all. Right. It was William Hearst's girlfriend's nickname for her private parts.
Marion Davis.
Yes.
Yes. And we'll leave it at that, because
that's what Rosebud was.
There's a question. There's a question of which private part.
Orson was trying to
orifice. Which orifice? Yeah. Exactly.
Well, Orson was trying to get it at Hearst because they hated each other.
Ah, okay.
So that was the dig that he got in when he wrote the movie.
On a side note, after you go to West Point, and if you're on the West Coast, if you haven't been to San Simeon, go to San Simeon. It's mind-boggling magnificent, and some of the engineering there was brilliant as far as earthquake anticipation and prevention.
Yeah.
The Neptune pool, that's the outdoor pool, was designed by an Italian woman architect who put it up on steel girders that will move and sway. So it's like a bowl sitting in a bunch of fingers. It's brilliant. It's worth a visit. I digress.
All right. So Navy Army. All right. In the 1800s, if you weren't in the Army, you pretty much couldn't be president.
Really?
In the 1900s, most of the presidents, take out Eisenhower, most of the presidents served in the Navy.
In the 1900s.
You had three in a row. Nixon.
Okay.
You had Kennedy.
Right.
Then you had Nixon.
Yep.
We left out Johnson.
Right. And then you had...
actually, Johnson served in the Navy, too.
Did he really?
Ford served in the Navy. And Jimmy Carter, who was a graduate of Annapolis.
And let's keep going. Wasn't Poppy Bush a naval flyer?
He was a flyer.
Yeah.
Flyer in the Navy.
For the Navy, yeah.
And son was a reserve.
Okay.
So 1900s was dominated by the Navy. 1800s was dominated by the Army.
Okay.
2000s, military doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah, no.
So just the trend in our country.
Colin Powell, where are you when we need you?
Yeah. But I mean,
rest in peace.
If you take Eisenhower...
What did you say?
Colin Powell's dead.
Oh, well, that really sucks for us, doesn't it?
I don't think we're electing him.
Damn it.
But you take Eisenhower out of the mix.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty much dominated. The 1900s are dominated by Navy men.
And just as a side note, that's why I never do a dead pool. I never remember who's dead or alive. Which is
when I ask a question of dead or alive, when
no, they didn't die 17 years ago. No.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not good at that.
Or that next halftime question you create, dead or alive.
Thanks very much.
Just for Lenny. Hey, you know what? Okay. We're at the end of our show.
Time flies when we're having fun.
No, it was a great show. I enjoyed it. I can tell you, you can see, you guys can't see, but I got notes everywhere around me. You got them written all
I wrote them on the table for the first time. I like this a whole lot. Yeah.
You know, but I just love doing the research for this show. And I appreciate you guys. If you would support our sponsors, make sure you hit that share button. If you like it, hit the share button. If you don't like it, hit the share button anyway.
Right. Let people not like us for themselves.
Yeah. Let them have their own opinion about not liking us. But again, thank you to our sponsors. We appreciate you guys every week. We'll be back next week at 6:34. This is Bollox Talks and Tangents.